Toram Online is another cross-platform PC mobile MMORPG in that cutesy anime style, but while playing I actually find several systems I really like. The characterization was better than I expected, and the boss fight mechanics were complex enough to be engaging, while simple enough to be understandable. And there's even a really cool combat interaction in the boss breaking system. Materials for upgrading and crafting were clearly labelled, and I actually ended up having a pretty good time playing this game. I played for way longer than I originally intended, but something felt odd. It felt familiar, like I'd been here before, so I checked the developer of this game and oh, I see, they also made Alchemia Story. I think I remember Alchemia Story, I'm sure I've played it. So to refresh my mind, I went back and rewatched my old video and oh shit, my wife! Yom! I forgot I was married. I've not spoken to her in about 6 months. Oh, she is going to be so angry. Well, guess it's time to play Toram Online and hope my wife from another game doesn't find out. Welcome, I'm Josh Strifehays and this is Worst MMO Ever, a series where I play every MMO I can find in a journey to find the worst. Drop a like on the video or sub to the channel for more MMO stuff, ring the bell for all the future notifications, and as usual a massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel alive and provide an income source my wife doesn't know about. More information on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin. Today we are playing Toram Online. It's on Steam, it's free, and I swear it means nothing to me, it's just a work thing. Important note, this game is not Final Fantasy XIV, despite having a very similar font in a very similar colour. Character creation. I like how if you choose fit body type, it just gives you a tan, like you've touched a slight amount of grass and the sun has blessed you. The noble face type is the only type with a beard, and you can have different coloured eyes for extra edginess. Now choose a weapon. In a nice touch, the game tells you how hard each weapon is as a playstyle. Not as hard as being married, am I right, fellas? I go with a katana because I'm edgy. And while the game loads, we see this out-of-work Tribble reading a book. Now, the game doesn't pre-download. It downloads stuff as it is needed, so this opening section takes 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is a long time to last. Just ask my wife. Quick update, have messaged my wife to catch up after 6 months, no response yet. Game launches, we're outside in a rather colourful, nice-looking countryside, and we meet Tenet, leader of the caravan of adventurers. Nothing is voiced, but thankfully the dialogue is quite tight. Each line is either world-building, characterization, or plot. Tenet says this is a training area and we can choose to train or skip, so that's an optional tutorial. I like that. A UI pop-up shows you can use WASD to move, space to jump, left click also moves you, and you get this cool sword flourish whenever you do, and right click spins the camera. So we talk to some of the caravan members, get some health potions, and the menu buttons to the bottom right are all crossed out, so maybe we're going to be introduced to each one as we go. A well-paced tutorial, could it be? The old man then asks if we want to learn combat from him or a young child, and as a YouTuber I feel it's safest to choose the old man because we were just play fighting, Your Honor doesn't stand up in court, and I don't own a ukulele. So in traditional RPG style, the world is covered in monsters and the first enemy we meet is called Colon. It's called Colon. And the enemy is a brown lump. I guess it's time to pulverize some colons. Actually, that reminds me, my wife replied, she thought I died and is not happy. You press F to lock onto an enemy, then F again to begin auto-attacking, so behold, combat. Early game combat is nothing too intense. The damage numbers are low, time between auto-attacks is shown on screen and is fine, hit graphics and flourishes are flashy enough but not over the top, you kill enemies fast enough but not in one hit, and enemies do a decent chunk of damage against you. Mechanically, this is fine. Visually and audio, it's actually quite satisfying. We arrive at a waterfall and face a wolf boss, and the game asks if we're ready, and now the most focused design. Boss fights. Toram is mostly a game about fighting bosses. And when you do, sometimes NPCs or hired mercenaries will join you. So the old man joins us and together we kill the wolf. However, he is way too powerful and it's over way too quickly, which was a complaint my wife always had. Unfortunately, while we were away, the caravan was attacked by a corrupted dragon and we're told there is no way we can win this fight, so we need to run away to the edge of the boss arena and wait 10 seconds to flee. And this is effectively teaching the player the mechanic of leaving a boss fight through a narrative encounter, which is a lovely touch. Having fled the dragon, we're sent to the main city of Sofya and told, just go explore really, it's a big world, go find some adventure. The UI is now unlocked so I can check the character menu, the journal, and the map, which is top-down 3D, showing all the important NPCs, shops, and map exits to connecting maps. You can even click on anything to get more information about it. This is not a bad little map. I equip a new ring I got from surviving the dragon attack and go and chat to people, starting with this scarecrow. The game tells me question marks mean story quests, and the scarecrow tells us about the general store, so I wander on over. And on the way, a guard approaches me. Now, side note, I really like the design of this guard's helmet with the front faceplate sliding down when in battle. That's a lovely practical touch. So the general store is run by... Okay, Toram Online is not Final Fantasy XIV, so this is not a Lalafell. This is clearly a different thing, a child. It turns out they are called Sololo, goddammit. So, for anyone unaware, in Final Fantasy XIV, Lalafells, these potato-looking things, have a very specific naming convention where they use repeated phrases of clusters of letters, often using repeating syllables. In Toram Online, which is not Final Fantasy XIV, not only does it use the same font and colour of font, but also the same character design and naming conventions, but it's not Final Fantasy XIV. So shopkeeper not Lalafell Sololo tells us about the great cataclysm where many years ago the world was blown up by a terrible dragon and is now being rebuilt. Essentially, the realm has been reborn, but it's not Final Fantasy XIV. The potato child tells us the blacksmith is looking for help, so we head on over and chat. Seems he needs some stuff delivered, so of course we accept the quest, and the game tells us look for the exclamation mark to hand quests in. There are a lot of systems I'm noticing, like blacksmithing, synthesizing, boss difficulty choices, but I will wait and see when the game feels it's time to introduce me to them, because so far the pacing hasn't been bad. I do, however, discover the jump animation is just that, an animation. It's not an actual practical physical thing. You see, if I jump from this wall to the floor, the character model is instantly teleported down to the height of the floor with the animation still playing. That means there's no actual height in the game, just the illusion of height. Spotting this kind of design early matters because it means there will be no jumping puzzles or moments that jumping across a broken bridge while passing over a floor below could possibly happen, because you would be teleported down to the floor below automatically. The blacksmith complains about life a bit, lamenting about how he is a coward, and gives us some armor, and I like how even the minor side characters have just enough personality to make them memorable. He even mentions the armor he's given us has a slot for a gem to go in, a gem which can power our equipment up, a condensed ball of energy called Krista, which is not materia, because Toram is not Final Fantasy XIV. So we go and explore the local lands. We bump into an angry acorn and then meet the elvish duo Balft and Triel, brother and sister. They're wandering adventurers like us. Brother Balft offers to give us an adventuring badge if we can defeat some colons. I wasn't aware I needed an adventuring badge to be an adventurer. It sounds like something you'd cut out the back of a cereal box, but okay, I get to killing. The local guard even asks if we've used our stat points yet and mentions that we really should. Another nice in-game touch of reminding you about mechanics. So I throw some points into dexterity, vitality, and agility, but nothing into intelligence, so I can continue to swiftly dodge the increasing legal letters my wife has been sending me about abandonment and divorce. Now, killing the roaming small enemies is just padding. The real focus of the game is the bosses, and when you approach a boss, you get to set the difficulty of the fight. You can also use temporary buffs to increase the drop rate and see which items you might get. I like this. It means each boss can still be relevant to you as you level up, because you just increase the items the boss could drop on higher levels. Boss fights have a few important mechanics. All bosses have unavoidable auto attacks, so you're guaranteed to be taking at least some damage, but they also have a large variety of red damage area indicators giving you time to dodge. My katana class also has a cool feature. Whenever you attack, either an auto attack or an ability, you are locked into the attack animation. But if I hold a direction as soon as the animation starts, when it ends, I will quickly spin dodge in that direction. This lets me risk a last moment attack before quickly dodging out of the red. It's a nice active combat touch. There's another major boss mechanic we'll find later because it's actually really cool. Breaking parts of a boss. So the boss goes down, we get the badge, then Balf and Tally ask us to bring some magical leaves to the synthesizer in town, so we head on back. Maps in Toram Online are quite small, and later we'll find an overworld map which shows how they're all linked together. The synthesizer is next door to the blacksmith, so we head on inside, and it seems that she's collected all of the Infinity Stones. We give her the leaves, and she tells us the city is under protection of Pina, one of the 12 gods. She also gives us some not materia, and we slap it onto our equipment, and now we have more vitality. Let the brother Balf know we've done the errand, and then a small squad of explorers interrupt us, saying they've discovered a golem in some ancient ruins and accidentally activated it, and it's kinda dangerous. Sounds like a job for a guy with a katana. So we run on over. The area is actually quite populated. Toram Online has no shortage of players, even on Steam, and honestly I can see why. It's accessible, decently challenging, simple enough to flow with just enough complexity to reward active attention. I then discover another layer to the combat system. When your auto attack is ready, you will only actually perform the hit when you stop moving, meaning you can essentially hold an auto attack for the right moment. Combining this with the insta dodge after an attack animation finishes, and there's now a layer of timing to the combat. I click around the UI some more and I notice the counter of 99 potions on the left. While you can assign potions to a manual hotkey, you can also set them to be automatically used at a certain health point threshold. Now at first I think, oh great, it's a potion spamming game, but we'll find out that's not entirely accurate because there is a 6-second cooldown between all potion usage, and 6 seconds can be a lot of incoming boss damage, so you can still be one-hit killed. Into the ruins I check out the skill menu. It's arranged in a handy-dandy flowchart. I throw some skill points into some cool katana skills and set up some hotbars. Pretty simple stuff. There are even preset hotbars you can cycle through, and this button says I can hold space to block, but I assume that's only for classes with shields. I don't need to block anything. Except my wife's legal team, am I right, guys? Oh, guys. I need to know, am I right, because she is getting the lawyers involved. Find a locked treasure chest, but get told this is a main story item. Come back later. Pedantic graphical nitpick time. I've noticed the compass. The N is at the top for north, and is the right way around, but the W, E and S are oriented as if they are going to spin. The S is, from our current view, upside down. Now this design would work if the compass edge did spin, which would orient the direction we're facing to the top and make the letter look correct. But it doesn't, so it looks weird. Hi, post-production Josh here. Turns out that S doesn't spin the correct way if you spin the compass, because the S itself is mirrored, which makes this whole thing even stranger. Eventually, we find the Golem boss, which is definitely not Magitech from Final Fantasy XIV, and a nice little cutscene shows it using its weapons so we know what to expect going into the fight. This is great. The fight lasts a little longer and is greatly enhanced by the boss music containing what I can only describe as a violent flute section. Take the golem down, and then Balf gives us some holy gems explaining they are powerful condensed magical flashbangs which can weaken evil. That sounds pretty useful. After a story boss fight, you're asked if you want to leave the map or explore a bit more. I want to explore a bit, and then I find the achievement page. So far I have received 17 bonus gifts, one of which is just play for 15 minutes. An achievement just for being here. Should have got one of those for putting up with my wife, am I right, fellas? She is divorcing me, I am going to court tomorrow. I decide to take on the boss again, without the narrative team this time, and it's much harder, but also way more fun. But here I do notice a design that I'm not too keen on. The boss has a health bar, and when you do damage to it, instead of the bar remaining the same total size, but a section within the bar decreasing to show the percentage health lost from the remaining total pool, instead, the entire bar just gets smaller, so you don't know how far along in a fight you are at a glance. More presents just for being me, including a magical hat which has the most defense of any item so far. Don't laugh. This is peak defensive performance. Run all the way back to town, we're interrupted by a government officer and told the goddess wants to see you. You should talk to her. Fine. Bureaucracy. The government. Maybe the goddess knows a good divorce lawyer. At the government offices, we meet Totally Not Zelda standing outside Totally Not Mournhold, and this is Pina, one of the 12 goddesses. From her outfit, I'm assuming she's the goddess of helicopters. She sends me to Isthmus, saying there's a big hole in the ground and possibly a dragon. We should go and investigate. A dragon living in a cave. Sounds like my ex-wife, am I right, fellas? Seriously, she got the cave, I am caveless. Using the world map, you get this grid pattern showing how all the maps are connected together. Now, maps only ever have exits from the north, south, east, or west, so it's easy to work out the exits that you need to take to get anywhere. Thankfully, you do have a few teleport tokens to make fast travel possible, but don't worry, these do run out pretty fast. Teleport to the Salt Plains and, visually this place looks fine. Toram has that vibe of PlayStation 1 JRPGs. I'm getting Jade Cocoon, Breath of Fire, early Legend of Zelda vibes, at least visually. It's not an ugly place to exist. On the Salt Plains, we meet Palulu. Legally, they're not a Lalafell, so I'll just refer to them as a child from now on. They will tell us the secrets of this land, even joining us on our adventure if we collect some dragon skin. Thankfully, our journal lists not only the quests we're on, but also which enemy drops which item and where to find them. Lovely amount of in-game information. Kill some tiny dragons, get the skin, hand it back in, and get sent to talk to Grandma Child. She explains the land is inhabited by 4 tribes which all focus on a different lifestyle and a different element, but we are totally not Avatar: The Last Airbender. The holy gems were created to defeat evil, and with a head full of several garages worth of knowledge, we get sent to hunt down that dragon. The crater map is bigger than any we've been on before. Lovely sight lines, we kill some angry plants, and then down in the center we don't find a dragon. Instead, we find a black crystal which we fight. And I like this boss fight. The boss doesn't move, but the dangerous areas and additional enemies do. Sometimes you're sent far away, sometimes you're encouraged to huddle in close. There's variety. There's also support crystals that apply debuffs like slow, poison, or paralysis, which you have to go and take out first. So we destroy the big corrupting crystal. There's no sign of the dragon, so we let the government know, and I do feel that separation of church and state is somewhat at odds with the government being run by a literal god, but I'm not a bureaucrat. Maybe this is fine. Helicopter Goddess says we should talk to the local store owner about a magical stone, so we do, and they say, yep, magical stone just outside town in a local temple. Might be useful for dragon hunting. You should probably go and get it. There are still players everywhere, so I fight through the ruins of the temple. As ruined as my Lego collection after my ex-wife took half of everything. Not half the total sets, half the bricks from each set. And then inside I find 2 players aggressively grinding together. Trying again not to think of my ex-wife, I fight on through the temple. Sometimes you'll find items on the ground and be able to pick them up, like how halfway through this temple I got wood. What can I say? I just really like temples. Rather odd mechanical choice here. Holding right-click rotates the camera, but it does not lock the cursor while doing this, meaning if you spin the camera in one direction, the cursor will slowly make its way to that side of the screen and then hit the edge, and you will not be able to spin the camera anymore. It's been a while since we've seen a game make that design choice, so if you are making a hold-click to spin camera system, have that click also lock the cursor. Fight some PlayStation 2 looking gargoyles, and I have to say I'm not hating Toram Online. It's designed to appeal to a specific audience, and I know that audience isn't me, but I can still spot the quality, the consistent aesthetic style, the small but nicely designed maps, the vibrant color palette, the decent pacing of combat, the narrative through line, the little characterization quirks. There is a lot of small flashes of quality in this game. Reach the deepest parts of the temple, save someone from being attacked by goblins, and they say thanks. They are actually the guardian of the temple, and if we bring them 10 dead goblins and 10 dead beaks from local birds, they'll let us see the magical stone within. So I get to killing, level up some skills with some leftover skill points, and then I try out some emotes, including this one, which allows me to kneel down and pray, but then a bird walks over me, and it looks like I'm cosplaying an egg. Bring the bits to the temple guard, we walk into the sanctum together, and I spot what looks like the hookshot hovering over the giant statue's hand. But before we can take the holy gem, some bandits appear and steal it. Unfortunately, doing this causes the dragon to appear, and oh hey, it's the same corrupted dragon which attacked the caravan from earlier. That's a nice setup and payoff. With the magical seal removed, a 4-armed minotaur climbs out of the ground and we fight, and again, great music, great area, and a slow effect which plays with the speed of our character. Actually quite a good fight. So we kill the minotaur, take the magical gem back from the bandits and return it to the temple because it seems it's actually quite important that it stays here. But we do still need a holy dragon hunting gem, so we go back to the goddess and let her know of these events. Now, on my way back, I spot a golden level 100 Toram. I probably can't kill it because I'm only level 25, but oh, actually I can. This must be an event enemy. Back at the Helagodta, we explain the magical temple gem is actually sealing creatures into a prison, and taking the gem is a bad idea. She says the corrupted dragon has been spotted by the lake, so we should go there. Now, the lake has a few massive enemies walking around, but I've got around 200 potions left, so I attack a tortoise. It is here I discover the potion cooldown mechanic, and I get roundly killed, which introduces the death mechanic. When you die, you can spend a revive item to get back up right now, or you can go and revive at town, or you can wait 5 actual minutes to get up. But if you do choose to wait, you can rapidly click the struggle button, and each click removes 1, 2, or 3 seconds from your revive timer. Now this mechanic is interesting. It's obviously designed for mobile, so you're rapidly tapping your screen to get back up, but it's also a way of making death a system that you can actively interact with for benefits. And if you're killing a boss with a group of other players, you're going to be rapidly tapping your phone to try and get back up quicker. It's adrenaline inducing, which is a very interesting game design choice. And now a bit of an interesting sequence break. I know that my ultimate destination is the mountain, so I teleport straight there, but it's covered in poison and I'm dying just being on the map. So I leave and I discover you need to approach this from the previous map to trigger the story beat of the brother and sister magically clearing the dragon's miasma. I really like how the game let you teleport here and then just made it dangerous. But to clear the poison, we need to go and get some special magical herbs. Merchant Palulu says we should gather some reagents like fairy feathers and vines, so we go and do that. And while I'm hunting stuff down, let's just have a read of some reviews. It's more better than most not free RPG MMO. Good game, got 17,000 total hours mobile and PC combined. Game's as good as it used to be, as grindy as its 2019 updates made it be. You can breeze through all the content in this game if you have 500 hours to spend, or more. It costs over $25 in orbs to reset your skill tree. This should be enough of a review. Before I played Toram online, I had small PP, no friends, no girlfriend, depression, and no life. These things haven't changed, but the game is pretty good. Gather everything we need, then bump into this player who looks like they lost a fight with a fancy dress shop. With all the reagents, we give everything to the synthesist in Sofya City, we get the purification liquid back, and then use that to clear the poison around the mountain, and up we go. We help a traveller being attacked by boars along the way, because that's just who we are, and then we keep pushing up the mountain. I'm getting pretty strong vibes of Eternal Ring, that ethereal, liminal space RPG, the place of somewhere I recognise, but I know it's not real. It's an odd feeling and it will happen again later. At the summit of the mountain, we find the corrupted dragon, so we fight. The brother and sister team join us and the dragon goes down pretty quickly, but you'll notice these strange circle icons which sometimes appear over the enemy's body. I don't know what they are, so I'll come back to this because they're actually really important and they're a great mechanic. Now when the dragon dies, it doesn't die. The black crystal just falls off and it turns out the dragon's a really nice guy who got corrupted and can't remember anything. They fly back off to their desert and we report this to God and they say, yeah, that sounds strange. We should investigate it. So we're tasked with finding more holy gems in case more corrupted dragons appear. To this end, we go and ask the local townspeople what they know about holy gems. The blacksmith knows nothing, the synthesist knows nothing, the guard knows nothing, and then a tiny merchant girl suggests, hey, why don't you ask the goddess about the gems? So the quest, given to us by the goddess, is go and find information about the holy gems. And this quest ends with you asking the goddess about holy gems, making the entire thing completely superfluous. Apache Attack Goddess says we should talk to a trader called Nyata, but no one knows where Nyata is, so we're sent to another trader to find them. This game has the energy of going to a club with all your friends when you're a bit younger. Then everyone's splitting up, and then everyone spends a load of energy worrying where people are to get back together, back into a group, and then as soon as the group forms, you just split up again, and then you reform endlessly until the end of the night. We chat to Grandma Merchant again, and she sends me to talk to somebody else, and Toram is turning into, I don't know, go and talk to somebody else, the game. I have also unlocked 23 new achievements, which must all be manually accepted, otherwise the number doesn't go away. And now I discover the combo menu, where you can set one ability to trigger right after another, and that's fine, but it does burn through your mana faster. So you see, during combat, each auto attack refills your blue mana bar, which is broken down into segments underneath your health bar. Using an ability takes a certain number of segments, shown by the ability's icon. Mana is slow to recover and quick to spend, so a combo system sounds great until you realize you'll likely want to save your mana segments for either a really big attack or one ability that you've leveled to maximum to do more damage. We finally arrive on the mountainside in the search for the mage who knows how to make holy gems, and this cutscene is meant to be horrific. It's a turtle attacking a child, but it's just so funny. I can't help but laugh at that dumb face. We learn about the mage Takaka who lives up the mountain, so up we go. The mountain is full of ghosts for some reason. Maybe it's a haunted mountain. Or maybe it's alcoholic. because of all the spirits. Please like and subscribe. Halfway up, we're attacked by a bandit who summons a giant bear. The issue here is the fights are starting to take a while, and I don't mind a long fight if every moment is engaging and victory is never assured, but when the victory is known from the start because of the amount of health potions we've got, this is just padding to fill time. We win the fight, but the bandit begs us to spare her, saying she's starving. And now we get an RPG choice. If you do spare her, she tells you the beast in the mountain is allergic to a certain type of flower. If we ever find the flower, come back here and kill the beast. It's worth it. And she also says the holy gem mage was last seen in Douche Hamlet. So off we go. On the way there, I spot another one of those locked treasure chests, and then I really appreciate how the child just headbutts it, hoping that will work. Turns out it doesn't. They're locked by a special key. But our child can provide us with 10 a day, so we now have an in-universe reason for limited daily chest opens. Remember, these aren't boss kill chests, they're just randomly found within the game world. Now, remember the loading screen between levels? One of them mentions I can play a free game of darts in the cash shop for a daily prize, so the cash shop. Let's do this. Or let's not, because it seems the cash shop doesn't work. I can see the orb shop, orbs being the premium currency. 1 orb is $1, better prices for buying more. $80 would get you 152 orbs, but what can I spend the orbs on? I'll have to check back later when the shop's working. Welcome to Douche Hamlet, previously known as just Hamlet before my ex-wife moved in. And remember how I said Toram isn't Final Fantasy XIV? Well, the machine that makes not materia looks a lot like the machine that makes materia. But then psych, subversion of expectations, this machine is just making candy. The search for the Holy Gem Mage now takes us through this Spyro the One Arabian Nights looking map. An outside zone with high walls, floating steps, geometric stylized statues of people and horses. And I really like this area. It's fantasy art deco video game. It's striking. Some of the enemies are just floating magical books. We then meet a magical apprentice who explains this is a magical research center, and we're a bit too weak to be allowed in right now. There are magical seals on the doors, and you know what? Yeah, a holy gem mage was here, but she's gone. But hey, here's a bouquet of flowers, which happen to be the same flowers the beast from earlier is allergic to, so I don't know, maybe go and kill it? It seems by now video game logic is heavily taking over, but we return to the mountain and now the music sounds like Nyan Cat's emo phase. By now, I'm very aware that I've been using my free teleport tokens to move from map to map, even quite close maps, and I am aware they're going to run out very soon. Inside the lair, we give the beast some flowers, then get to pounding. But enough about my ex-wife, we're now at the Volg fight. I have 282 potions remaining, and this is a slog of a fight. I even die and need to revive. Thankfully, I've got 18 revive orbs. The final third of this fight, the boss even switches to using way more AoE red zone attacks, so we've got mechanical progression within a fight, which is a lovely design touch. Killing this beast gets us a magical gem the child with us can now sell, and a few cutscenes later we decide the magical holy gem-making lady might be in the Highlands. I mean, we're just throwing a load of guesses at the wall and seeing what sticks. So we head on over, and a man with a giant hammer chases us away, and then we go to the open plains and meet a butler, a dapper-looking gent who has unfortunately lost the young man he was in charge of, so we agree to go and find them. The brother and sister duo show up again, and we say we're trying to rescue a lost noble child, and they decide to join us. And like every other adventure area before, we just fight through 3 layers of increasing difficulty. Halfway through, I even get some more wood, and my god, I just love caves. At the end of the cave, we find an ice cavern, and inside, a giant ooze enemy. The ooze has the child, but before we can rescue them, a mysterious black knight shows up, frees the child, and then joins us for the boss fight. Wait, no, they just leave. Thanks, mysterious black knight. Take all the glory and then do none of the work. Mechanically, I really like the ooze fight. It has similar attacks to the dragon, but chains into them way faster, meaning you've got tighter windows to attack and dodge. And while there is always the unavoidable damage in the form of enemy auto attacks, you can easily dodge almost every telegraphed attack. You know, if this was someone's first introduction to the MMORPG genre, it's not a bad intro. Story, combat, bosses, items, maps, the foundation of a good MMO is here, and it's pretty stable. Take down the ooze, the brother and sister return. I wonder if one of them is the Black Knight. We find a new weapon, the Adele sword. So we equip it, roll in the deep, set fire to the rain, and it turns out the sword is terrible. Well, as an item it isn't terrible, but I've fully spec'd into the katana and weapons don't share skills. Return to the butler, give him the child back, back and he says the Holy Gem Maker, yeah, they saw them run into the swamp, so in we go. You know, it's been a while since I found a new weapon, and that ooze fight took quite a while, so I returned to the main city and try and buy one. The blacksmith lets us process raw materials into crafting materials and then use those to either make weapons or upgrade others. The upgrade system, of course, can fail, and there's an item you can buy to make sure it guarantees the process. I get my katana to +3 through pure luck, and then go and explore the city. There's a cool sunken city over the edge of the lake, and then a guy called Forth who works on the wharf. There's also a large group of players standing around the consignments board. This is the auction house, buy and sell stuff. I do a quick search for katanas. I've got 3,000 spina, which is the game's version of coins, and after browsing the marketplace, I discover I am, in technical game terms, absolutely skint. Good weapons cost over $1 million. The general store also has no weapons, and why is Hatsune Miku here? Aren't you meant to be in a Magic the Gathering set right now? Okay, with no new weapon, we head off to the swamp. Inside, we find another child merchant. Apparently, they smell like alcohol and live here because no one bothers them. We ask about holy gems, and notice how your character doesn't have text, but whenever you would say something, the game has a little dialogue box letting you know as a player that you have asked something, meaning you can imprint your own attitude of how you asked it, which is a nice RPG touch. The child swamp merchant says yes, they will tell us where the Holy Gem Maker is if we bring proof of victory against the Moon Wizard. So off to the Moon Palace we go, which it must be said has a lovely map. The moon framed between two imposing rising gates, and the enemies here look like magical animated sets of armor. We even bump into the bandits from earlier, and one of them is apologetic about attacking us back then. I love these little touches, humanizing background characters. Now the lead bandit, however, says we are too weak to go into the Moon Palace, we would die. But if we destroy 10 sword marionettes and 10 mage marionettes, he may let us pass. So yay for grinding. So we go and slap around some marionettes, mindless beings moved by magical strings, much like the judge in my divorce case. I also notice I've got a few points to spend, but no new skills to spend them on. Those skills are locked, and they must be unlocked in Sofya City Library. So I teleport back, go and get a library card, and check out a skill book. The game warns you, focus on one skill tree at a time. Unlocking others is possible, but it gets expensive the more you know. I read up upon how glorious Nippon steel, folded 1,000 times, can cut through the densest of matter, meaning it could probably cut through my alimony paperwork. Back at the Moon Palace, kill a load of marionettes, head on inside, and now collect 20 magical coins from even more marionettes. Personally, I think creepy animatronic or haunted possessed doll is a vastly underused enemy design in RPGs, so I'm happy to see these here. I reach level 40 and unlock a new strat. You have to select a personality. I select critical, like Yom always was of me. And now my critical attacks do more damage. Fight deeper into the palace. The second level has us activate 3 buttons in order by just running over them, nice and simple. And then we find the Moon Wizard on the outside balcony. And this whole segment has very we have Elden Ring at home vibes. The Moon Wizard isn't evil, but insists we fight, so they know that we're strong enough to take on the dragons. And it's strange I said Elden Ring, because they even have a Moonlight Greatsword style area of effect attack. This whole segment has very strong From Software visual vibes, and the fight is nice. Local AoE, larger AoE, dashing attacks, magical flourishes. Totally acceptable boss. 10 minutes later, we learn some more history. There were originally 3 gods, Moon, Star, and Sun. They attempted to summon the 4th, Lost God, but in doing so accidentally caused the cataclysm and all got horribly injured while summoning a load of evil to the land. But they were able to reverse this and lock most of the evil monsters away in magical prisons, but to do so had to sacrifice a portion of themselves and their power. Moon here lost his arm, leg, and face, and the armor he's in keeps him alive. Star was blinded, and then they were too weakened to rule, so 12 other gods came along to be in charge. It turns out the person we're hunting is Star. She makes the holy gems, but because she was blinded, she's gone a bit insane. This is a decent plot twist. Flawed gods, ancient evil contained with sacrifice. With the mark of victory over Moon achieved, we return to the swamp merchant, but like my ex-wife, they've left. Before pushing the story on, I need a better weapon. Fights are taking too long, so I head back to town to figure out this crafting thing, and I'm glad I did because it's actually quite fun. Almost all the material drops you get can be reduced down to the basic core component, metal, wood, medicine, or mana, and making a unique item requires an amount of these base materials plus a specific drop from an enemy or boss. All recipes are sorted by both item and level. They show you what you need and where to find each thing. So I can see to make this katana I need 18 clear waters and 6 twinkling stones. I can then see clear waters drop from Voda Roars in the cavern and twinkling stones from Rio Frosh in the Athema ruins. So let's just go and get this stuff. Use the map, work out the connections, go hunting. And I kill until getting 18 waters. Then I go and find the frosh, which are frogs, and these frogs are on one of the furthest maps I've been to, and goddamn, just look at this place! This looks awesome! Super high, ancient city, good sightlines, nice textures. Toram Online has some good environments. The frogs are pretty easy to kill, but twinkle stones are quite rare, so it takes me a while. But eventually I do get them, return to the blacksmith, but the irony is, in the process of gathering the materials for a new weapon, I have leveled up and am now able to make the next weapon up. I could even try to make some brutal dragon armor. The bits for this are dropped by Brutal Dragon Deckle, the dragon boss from earlier. But it tells me this drop requires a parts break, so I'll need to work out how to do that. I go to teleport maps, but oh damn, okay, I am out of instant teleport currency. I need a teleport orb. I guess that means it's time to check the shop, and yeah, this time it's open. Oh cool, there's a free darts game, which is just clicking on a spinning board and then getting a prize. Thrilling stuff. You can buy 100 teleport tickets for 30 orbs, which will cost you $25. And hey, look, you can spend 1 orb, so $1 on a potion to completely refill your health instantly. I'm not denying this game is very clearly pay to win, but I am still enjoying the other systems it has given me access to. With fast travel gone, I run all the way from the main city back to the Dragon Mountain, even discover some climbable vines on the mountain, adding a bit of pseudo-verticality. And then we restart the dragon boss battle. You can even see the drops that you might get, and which drops require a part break or are increased in drop rate if a part is broken. So what the hell is part breaking? Well, this is actually a mechanical touch for mobiles, which they've translated to PC pretty damn well, and I really like. Some of your attacks can paralyze the enemy briefly, but if you're able to stack multiple paralysis effects quickly, each consecutive paralysis chance will become a chance to part break. And when the enemy breaks, the white circle will appear over the breakable location you are closest to, such as its head, its hands, its leg, or its wings. If you're playing on mobile, begin tapping that location quickly. If you're on PC, hover your cursor over it. Once you've tapped or hovered for long enough, the part will break, and you can move around the enemy to have different parts be focused. Breaking an enemy gives you a visual change, like the dragon's knee talons being snapped off, and it reduces their damage with that attack. And some items can only drop if the enemy has been at least partly broken in the fight. This is a great system. It makes you save up your mana to spend it all on a high-risk, high-reward damage surge, and then has you physically interact on mobile or visually interact on PC. It's making you balance timing attacks, dodging incoming attacks, and using the cursor. I really like this combination of mechanics. But be aware the enemy can also break you. If you get hit too many times by high-powered or paralysis attacks, you'll get this smashed glass effect in front of you, meaning you're now taking slightly more damage. So yes, you can just tank damage, but doing so puts you in a weaker position that's not sustainable. So now I know how to check what weapons and armor I can make, how to find where the required items are, and how to break bosses for increased drop chances. I just go and do that, and it's pretty damn fun. I even discover if you go to the world map, you can sort by recommended level range or by main story chapter to see where you're meant to be. I know I'm in chapter 2, but materials I need for the weapon are dropped in Ethos Fortress, which is further on in chapter 3, so I'll be pushing ahead somewhat, but the game does let you do this. But when I do reach the Death Zombeasts, great name by the way, they are pretty powerful. They're normal enemies, but they do way more damage than earlier bosses because I am punching above my weight. And after killing them for a while, I do realize the main story was giving me more experience, so I just go back and do that. Returning to the main story, our child beats up another child, and then we're off to Skaro Town. Hey, cool, we're back in that geometric art deco place, and the lady from earlier says yes, a holy gem mage did pass through here. And then we see another small child being attacked by a giant crab, so we fight it, and this is one of the best boss fights so far. It's fast, punishing for mistakes, and getting the boss break requires 4 pommel strikes in a row, which is a big mana spend and a big risk because the crab moves a lot. And when they reach half health, everything speeds up. Good fight. We learn the other child merchant is working for the star goddess. The crab had some rare material they needed, and they say the star goddess is in the Sarham crater to the south, so I return to town to stock up, but while there, a guard asks me if I want to try a challenge dungeon. Sure, why not? It seems challenge dungeons are meant to be short group wave defense games. You get placed into an arena with 4 crystals, and enemies will spawn and attack the crystals, and you need to defend them. If you can last for 10 minutes, a boss will appear. Now this starts pretty easy, but god but damn, around the 9-minute mark, things just kick it up a notch. The boss spawns, but I've got no chance of surviving. I give it my best shot, but hey look, I got 250,000 experience from this. That's pretty cool. I chat to some NPCs around town, shown as green dots on the minimap. Each one has a selection of level-based quests for you, side quests. Thankfully, the main quest has been paced well enough that I've not had to grind so far. I even discover an underground tunnel accessed by going through the door by Forth on the wharf. This is a giant aqueduct connecting Sofya city to other nearby maps. It's also filled with enemies and even a boss battle against this knockoff witch from Devil May Cry. The aqueduct is an impressive map, lots of open space, great ambience, and having alternative access routes to faraway maps is lovely. There's definitely a lot to do in Toram Online, and it's surprisingly well paced and balanced and presented. My main worry now is what happens when I run out of health potions, because I could grind for hours to collect the materials to build them back up. I know the synthesis would let me do that. But the fun bit of this game is killing bosses. Can I still do that with no potions? Let's find out. Back to searching for the Star Goddess, the Holy Gem Maker. In more ruins, we bump into the explorers from earlier. I love the amount of callbacks this has. And then I stupidly attack this giant walking world boss and discover it has an AoE the size of the entire map, and I get one hit killed. We then fight a demonic door, because it's not a true RPG until you fight a demon door. My issue here is not the fight. That's fine. It's the fact that the door opens to the ruins behind it, but the ruins are broken. We could just climb in. The door has protected nothing. The cutscene after the boss does make me laugh, though. This child with a mustache says they're going to die, so another explorer just punches them and then they're fine. Healing magic delivered via fist. We travel inside the magical ruins and meet some elves making holy gems. They say the Star Goddess is just inside, so we dive deeper, and eventually we do meet the goddess. Unfortunately, she is blind and convinced we are enemies, so is throwing out random fire AoE attacks. And now a minigame bit where you need to get close to her while avoiding the fireballs, but you don't know where the fireballs are going to land until you're so close you're basically already in them, so this is just trial and error. We eventually reach the goddess and explain we need a holy gem to be able to fight more corrupted dragons. She explains she can do us one better. She's making sorcery gems, which are way more powerful. But this might be a bad thing because she's going a little bit insane. However, before she can give us one, we are attacked by a two-headed beast, another boss fight. But this time, I get destroyed. Like 2-hit killed by this boss. I can hardly even beat the boss's minions. The main dude, I can't even touch him. This fight is recommended for level 59, and I'm level 51. I even try again. Same results. So I guess now is actually the time to gather some better equipment. I head back to the blacksmith to make a note of what I need, my armor and my next sword. I need drops from the ooze boss and the dragon. I return to the ooze boss first and I start farming, but I can see a problem rapidly approaching. I'm only beating the ooze boss because my potion stock is keeping me alive. But after one kill, that stock is almost out. I have no more instant restore potions. I've only got slow use regenerate potions. Now, thankfully, these do last the entire boss fight, but I'm having to spend a lot more time running away waiting for my health to refill, which is not fun. Even if I'm able to break the ooze's head and hands, reducing its damage and speed, it still takes too long to kill. I need better armor to survive this fight, which means returning to the corrupted dragon boss. I need 10 brutal skin and 2 brutal claws. The claw drop requires a boss break, so that's my focus every fight. I even tried the hard version of this fight, which is way too hard for me. A full dragon kill is taking 3 to 4 minutes, but there's one system I still haven't engaged with in the game, and that is the mercenary hire system. You, as a player, can put your actual character up for hire as a mercenary, so when you're offline, other players can pay some spearer to hire you for an hour. I check the merc board and I hire Xian, a damaged, focused greatsword user, for 52 spina per hour. Right, I've rented you for the hour. Let's see what you can do. If only I had a spina every time I've said that since the divorce. So it turns out mercenaries are insanely useful. Like, a dragon kill is down from 3.5 minutes to 50 seconds because Xian wrecks the dragon. But you know what? Maybe this means I can kill the ooze even without health potions. So Xian and I head on back and yeah, ooze kill in 34 seconds, baby. Time to grind. I actually kill the ooze so many times that I gather all the materials needed, but I still haven't got the emerald stone and it's just not dropping. But then I receive a new award. Play for 6 hours consecutively and a total of 16 hours. Now, I'm not proud of those awards, but if you told me that Toram Online was your main game, I would understand why. But then another irony happens. I have spent so much time killing the ooze to get the next drop for the weapon, I actually hit level 55, which is the threshold to make the next weapon from the blacksmith. So with Xian by my side, I decide to focus on that instead. I check the drop locations. I need to head to the Gate of Another World map and kill a planet head. So off we go. But here, I run into a problem. Gate of Another World is a long way away, and getting there means passing through the Lost Town. Now, can we just take a moment to appreciate how cool this map is? A shadowy, deserted, destroyed town filled with shadow figures of Victorian gentlemen in top hats floating around. And the whole area looks like it's the epicenter of a sphere of annihilation attack with floating ethereal rock clusters in the distance. This place again reminds me of the ending section of Eternal Ring. Second time I've got that vibe from this game. Now, the Gate to Another World is just beyond the village, but to leave the village I must pass the Zero boundary, and this is both a narrative and mechanical soft lock. To access the connecting map, I need to beat the Pillar Golem boss, so I try, and it one-shots Xian. That's not looking good. The Pillar boss is an absolute unit. I can't touch its health. It's hitting me hard and fast, so I guess I may have pushed too far, too fast for a higher weapon. But that does put me in an interesting place. I can't continue the narrative story because the two-headed beast is too hard to kill, so I need to grind for either levels or equipment, and equipment is the more efficient thing to do now. So I could grind the ooze to get a better weapon, or the dragon to get better armor, or I could do more challenge dungeons to get more experience, but any choice I make is going to take quite some time. And while I would probably enjoy the gameplay of these choices, I am running out of time to play more and review the game, so I think we'll have to leave it here for now. So we can say that Toram Online definitely has a lot to do for the first 16 hours, but then the grind tends to kick in. In many ways, Toram Online is to Alchemia Story what Xian is to my ex-wife, cheaper and better. It's paced better, plays better, and has more engaging boss mechanics, better combat balance, and far more choice about what to do at any given moment. It's not perfect, but the level of polish is impressive. The boss break system and the active engagement with the game it creates is a system I wish other games did. The characterization of minor characters in cutscenes is impressive, and the plot interested me enough to play for 3 solid days. Just remember, it's not Final Fantasy XIV, despite all of the signs that it might be. So to end the review, I will award Toram Online better than my ex-wife out of 10. Cheers for watching. Another massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel alive. You can support from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, and our Discord. And as always, have a great day.